because I'm thirsty. I'm very thirsty. Come on. There's our first customer. Taste it. Taste it, Rainbow. Thirsty. Where are you? Where are you? Taste the Rainbow. One more. Chicken Rainbow. Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. Welcome back to channel. I'm Bushka, and I'm going to be your guide today as we go down the rabbit hole on the best weapons loadouts for each of the PUBG mobile maps. Now, the first two I'm going to touch on are Miramar and Vikendi, and I'm going to do those together because despite the fact that one is bitterly cold and the other one is drier than, well, I won't say that, the maps share a lot of commonalities with weapons loadouts. They're the two maps where you really need long range to be your primary asset. With that in mind, you're looking for a bolt action sniper like an AWM primarily, or an M24 or a Kar98. You can make a lot of love with an SLR or an SKS or a Mini 14, but you really want to be able to reach out and bang hard with a bolt action sniper rifle. And the reason that you then also want to run something like an M416, well, let's be honest, the M416 is the king of this kind of map because it's versatile. 5.56 ARs as a whole have the best gun handling in the game. You can run a barrel M762 and win, and I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that if you're going to run any gun on Miramar or Vikendi, you want to run something that at range can perform. Being up close and personal as well is important, but when you've got long, wide open spaces, closing those engagements down and making them very, very short range is difficult at the best of times. And swapping hit points for distance is not something you want to be doing if you're trying to win chicken dinners. With that in mind, I'd go with an M416 and a single shot bolt action sniper as my best loadout. And I do that for both of the maps. Now, before you start ranting and raving and saying, hey, I won this map with a sawn-off shotgun, well, congratulations, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what is the easiest to go with. What is the one that you should be trying to get a loadout that'll cover off on the most common situations on these maps. And for me, you know, this is the gun. The M416, when I did my whole AR ratings video, which you'll find on my channel, The Bushka, came out on top, and it wasn't because it was the most damaging gun at all. It was because you could pick up an M416, and if you had to, you could go long range with it. It was easily the most devastating weapon at that middle range, and up close and personal, it was just as good as any other 5.56 AR, and in the running with most of the 7.62 ARs as well. Vikendi is exactly like Miramar with a touch less in terms of open environments. You can see here, even with the trees and everything around, there is so much sniping potential. It's a map that has frozen tundra. There is no crawling around and snaking in the grass. So like Miramar, you're not going to get surprised by someone who's hiding third person in grass and hip firing. You're going to have to work hard for your money at long range. And sniping is absolutely clutch on this map. I've played a lot of it on the beta, and I can tell you that there is time and again opportunity to just set up with a Kar98K and a 4x or a 6x or an 8x and lay waste. Even better if you can get a hold of an AWM. And again, if I'm going to pick any weapon here, it's going to be the trusty old M416. Now, you can sub in at a moment's notice a Scar L or a, you know, an AUG or any of those kind of guns, and you'll make it. Or you can use, if you have to, an AKM, even a UMP. But if we're talking about the gun that is going to cover off on those engagements from 70 to 100 meters in full auto, then guys, an M416, it's just an obvious choice. You get that tactical stock to improve the gun handling. You get the ability to run a half grip or whatever you want, and a compensator, and you can hit your targets. Now let's talk about Sanhok. Vikendi and Miramar were easy picking. Sanhok is really, really about the close range engagement, but there are still opportunities to snipe. For me, I love to run QBZ and QBU, the two Qs, the two Sanhok only weapons. And I've got great reasons behind that. But the things that I don't run on Sanok, which I tend not to run at all, are single shot bolt action sniper rifles. Have a look at this weather. You jump in with a Kar 98 in this kind of weather, it's worse than pointless. You are not going to be able to scope down anyone at long range. It is really, really about the up close and personal engagement. And even when the weather clears and you have the opportunity to get some longer shots, because it's jungle, because there's grass, because of the rocks and the trees, you quite often don't get the opportunity to set shots up like you would on Miramar or Vikendi or even Erangel. And that means that you've got to snap fire a lot more, and you've got to have the ability to pour a lot of suppressing fire in. And that's where the QBU really comes into its own. The QBU is, for my money, the best long-range DMR that you're going to find. It has 55 base damage, which is 54 base damage, which is more than the SKS and just one short of the good old SLR. And yet the gun handling is so much nicer than those two 7.62 ARs. It means that even as people are moving around all over the place, you can still pour in fire. And with broken cover all over the, I mean, trees, rocks, foliage, bushes, that means on maps like Sanok, you're going to get a lot of opportunities to fire, but then there's going to be a break. You're going to have something get in the way of your shot, and you won't be able to lead targets as effectively as you can with an AWM at 8 times. So the QBU works perfectly for this kind of play. And it's important that you have that versatility in your loadout in Sanok. And the QBZ, for me, is such a lovely gun to fire. It has this wonderful ability at mid-range to go full auto and hit with the first 5 or 6 shots really, really often. And that's something you cannot miss on Sanok. Look at this. Look at the rocks, the movement, the zones pushing in. The QBU is the weapon for this. You're just spamming that shot again and again and again and again, as there's so many targets and so many opportunities. I've won games on Sanok with an M24. I've won games on Sanok with a UMP. And I'm not saying you can't win those games, but what I am saying is that the versatilities you're going to get from these kind of loadouts will put you in a really, really good place when things turn tight. It's such a heavy-hitting DMR, and it really, really is a gun that you should take the opportunity to run. I mean, if this was on every map, I'd probably run it 90% of the time. But the fact that it's so easy to run and has such a punch, take a chance on it and run it, and you'll be a lot happier you did. Now we move on to Old Faithful. We're going to have a little bit of a chat about Erangel. As a map, this is the map that probably has the most varied gameplay in it. First person, third person, you get up close and personal, you get ridge fights, you get house fights, you get corridor fights, you get urban areas, you get wide open wheat fields, you get absolutely everything under the sun. And again, the M416 is the gun that for me shines out. There are some other options though, and I'm going to run you through the gun that I think, if you're not going to run an M416 and a single shot bolt action sniper rifle, is the one that I would strongly consider. And it's a gun that you might have seen that very, very hot young Indian YouTuber by the name of Mortal and the rest of the boys, Pothead and co, running. And that is the DP28. I mean, there's only 15,000 people watching the streams at a time, so it's not exactly a secret. This is with a 6x scope on a gun that fires at nearly the same rate as the AKM. Nearly the same rate. It has the same bullet damage as well. 47 base damage to a no vest wearing target, which is your standard base 7.62 AR round. Unless you're running the barrel, in which case it's 45. It can reach out and touch. And if you don't have the bolt action sniper rifle like an M24 that I'm running here, then that DP28 is a really, really, really good option. It's also got 47 in the mag, which allows you to spam the hell out of things. I am a big fan of the barrel M762 as well. And Miramar, for the fact that it has the most varied layouts also offers the opportunity to run the most versatile loadouts. I don't think there are a lot of bad loadouts on Miramar. You can run the M416 and you'll never go wrong. I mean, running the M416 will never go wrong. But if you want to run a barrel M762 and just have the most ridiculous face melting up close and personal AR in the game, then yeah, go for your life. You can run a barrel and a DP28 and that will work out really, really well with you. You won't have quite the single shot headshot power that you can run on an M24, a K98 or an AWM, but you can do things like this with super low recoil, just spamming smoke at 150 meters and dominating when you're running a barrel in the main slot and a DP28 in the second. Miramar is such an open and cut case for me. I can't see any way around it. You've got to have a single shot bolt action sniper rifle if you want to maximize your value on that map. But Erangel is the exact opposite end of the scale. Erangel is really a little bit of a man for all seasons, or a woman for all seasons, or a person for all seasons, or in this case, a map for all seasons. It really does offer itself up to a lot of different choices. If you haven't tried the DP28 yet, give it a shot. It really is the up and comer. And if you want to run with Old Faithful, hit that M416 and shove absolutely anything in the second slot. You might not even need to touch it. The M416 will cover off on most situations. As always, thanks for watching. If you want to check out more of my videos, you can check out my YouTube channel, The Bushka. If you haven't already, have a merry, merry holiday season. I'll be running around the traps and yeah, look after yourself, stay safe on the battlefield, eat your veggies and be nice to your mum. Bye for now.